Hey, what's up HeroClix fans? This is Symbio with T3 Gaming. Sorry we haven't been doing very many HeroClix videos. We're actually preparing for the WizKids Open that's going to be coming up in Reno, Nevada this next week. So we're doing some practices and we hope to show you guys some videos of that. And upcoming we will be doing a video of our trip to the WizKids Open, assuming it doesn't snow up there. And we'll try to cover some games and interviews and you know, just show you our whole experience of what it's like to be at a WizKids Open. We expect there to be a pretty good turnout. Anyway, today I'm going to do a video especially focusing on the Punisher van. Now, Married with Clicks has already done a video on this about 3 months ago when it first came out, and they did a really good job, Jason Collins, kind of outlining the basics of the van, so you should check that out. I'm going to go into it a little bit more in detail, show you pictures and videos, and get a little closer look at some of the objects. Now, I haven't played this in a game, so if I make a mistake, I apologize. I'm just trying to learn it myself. So if you have any comments, please let me know and tell me what is wrong with the what I pointed out might be wrong. Now, this is a purchasable Con LE, and it will stay in rotation for quite a while because it is a Con LE. So we'll probably see this in play for another couple of years at least. So let's go ahead and first look at that Punisher van itself, okay? So this is the Con LE. It is, let's see, it's the Marvel Con LE 2016-004. And we'll go ahead and just try to zoom in nice here so that you can see everything nice and close. Here's the Punisher van. It looks awesome. I have to say I really dig the style and the sculpts a lot. I think it's very thematic. I grew up really loving Punisher back in the late 80s. So he was always a cool figure to character to read in the comic books, and Frank Castle is just a serious badass. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at the Punisher van and what it does, okay? So we know it's a vehicle, and it's a 2x4 vehicle. So of course it will have all of the vehicle rules that apply to it. And just to clarify, anybody can actually pilot the Punisher van. You can play the Punisher van as just a straight up vehicle. It has 3-point values, 125, 100, and 75. And at 125, you get 15 clicks of life on this vehicle. And one of the things that's amazing about this Punisher van is the last click is a really awesome stop click. So it's definitely a don't die sort of tank here. If you play it at 100 points, then you're looking at probably, let's see, you're looking at about 12 clicks. If you play it at 75 points, you're looking at 9 clicks. So pretty close to the Quinjet in terms of when you're thinking about how many clicks a resource has. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these traits. We've got personal armory. A theme team may include Punisher van is still a theme team as long as a character named Punisher is on your force. So that's pretty cool. As long as you have Punisher on your force, its keyword is actually armor. So you can keep your theme team without, if you're playing Thunderbolts or maybe other keywords, then the Punisher van itself is not going to count against your theme team as long as Punisher's there. It's got this trait Ram, and Ram is one of those traits for vehicles that's been around for a while, but we haven't seen it. I don't think it even came out during any of the Avengers vehicles that came out, but it's pretty cool. Basically, you move along a direct path with the vehicle. You ignore characters. And then after actions resolve, you make a close attack targeting all opposing characters whose squares were moved through. So you go through a line of characters. As long as you're going in a direct line, each hit character is dealt Punisher van's printed damage value and roll a d6. So if the result is equal to or lower than the number of hit characters, deal Punisher van 1 unavoidable damage. So you can do the Ram, and you get to, let's see, yeah, so you have to give it a move action. So it's an action, and then you move through a direct line, making a close combat attack targeting all characters. So you still have to use the attack value, and if you look on the Punisher van itself, let's go ahead and just kind of take the time here to go through the dial. Let's see if you can see that. All right, so here's the dial. We've got one passenger, and that's the only, so you can only have one passenger, which means it can carry one other character. And I think that's separate from the pilot. So you know, yeah, it can use the carry ability. So a pilot is one character that's going to pilot it, and then it can actually carry one other character. So we'll talk about that in a minute. It starts off with running shot and invincible, which is pretty awesome, with an 18 defense and 3 damage. Let's see if we can get a little closer here. All right, there we go. All right, and so, you know, it only has running shot on its first click, which is kind of a bummer because that's, you know, oops. Let's see, getting a little, there we go. All right, so on the first click, it's got running shot and it's got a 0 attack. So the question is, well, how do you get that attack up? Well, like most vehicles, it's got a pilot attack, I guess, feature. And what it says is give the vehicle free action until your next turn, replace its attack, damage, and range values with those printed values of the pilot. So before you attack in a vehicle, you have to use the free action and pick the attack, damage, and range values from your pilot. So for example, if the Punisher has an 11 attack, then now the vehicle will have 11 attack. You can do a running shot with the 11 attack. And then you would actually replace the damage value of the pilot as well. So that's something to be aware of. So let's go ahead and go through this down a little bit more. We've got the next click. It's got sidestep, drops down to a 10 move, 17 defense with invuln, and still 3 damage. So it's got sidestep again on the third click, and then it drops down to, let's see, I guess, oh, okay, so it does have running shot and it's 100 on its 100-point click on the first click too. So that's cool, and then drops back down to sidestep here. So, you know, you're only gonna get that running shot either way on that first click on 125 or 100 points, which is still pretty cool. It's gonna drop down. It never actually, it takes a while to drop down to 17 defense, and then 16, and then 15, and then this last one is a stop click where it's basically got zeros, and it's got a special stop click power. So we'll go ahead and go back to the card here. So let's see. It's got invincible the first click, and then it kind of drops down to impervious, and invuln, and then all the way back down to toughness. So it's got a good amount of reduction. So if people are going to try to KO this this Punisher van, it's going to take a lot of work, and I don't think it's worth it. I mean, granted, you're playing 125 points for this thing, so it's maybe not great in a meta, but maybe in a 400-point game, it could be really good. Even with the, you know, top dial Punisher van at the highest points and the Punisher that comes with it, you're looking at 185. So it's not too bad for something that's going to be hard to kill. 125 points of, you know, point denial. Very good. So anyway, this damage power says, you think I didn't booby trap it? And it says stop. When this click is revealed, place the pilot adjacent, or if the pilot is named Punisher, place him within 4 squares. Then deal 3 damage to all characters within 3 squares of Punisher van, and destroy all walls and blocking terrain within 3 squares of Punisher van, and KO the Punisher van. So obviously it's like a booby-trapped bomb. If you pilot this without Punisher, then your character is also going to take damage. If you pilot it with the Punisher, you're going to place him 4 squares away, and so the 3 damage, 3 squares away from the Punisher van damage is not going to affect you. But it's obviously great if you're going to, you know, be ramming characters, be up against a bunch of opposing characters. If they want to go ahead and try to damage the van and they don't know about that stop click, it could be pretty disastrous for them. Granted, if you're not playing the Punisher, you know, it wouldn't be the best thing to do. The cool thing about this power is it sort of protects, or it does protect the pilot from having to deal with the KO damage of a regular vehicle. So like normally a regular vehicle, you're going to have to eject the pilot and then roll a die 6. On a result of 1 through 3, you take 2 unavoidable damage. 4 through 6, you deal the pilot 1 unavoidable damage. So that's what happens when you wreck a vehicle and then you KO the vehicle and put a standard heavy object in the square. So in this, the Punisher van is pretty cool in that it doesn't do that. It ejects the pilot and you don't, when it hits the stop click, and then it explodes and then it KOs the Punisher van. So the character or pilot never takes damage. All right, so that's the vehicle itself as the Punisher van. In general, I'd say if you're not playing a Punisher, it's not that great because of what it does. I mean, once we go, you'll look at all of these awesome weapons. You actually can't use these weapons in any sort of way with anybody except the Punisher. And the weapons dial on the Punisher van as a resource helps you get these weapons. So we'll go through that in a second. Let's go ahead and, actually let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. We will look at the weapons dial here. Weapons dial. So, with the weapons dial, it's kind of like the resource on the Quinjet in that you can play the vehicle without the weapons dial, or you can pay 5 or 10 points extra to get the weapons dial as a resource. Now, the resource itself can only be, let's see, I'm pretty sure, yeah, well, I guess you can actually use the resource. The resource is attached to the Punisher van itself, and it can be used by other characters besides Punisher. Let me just double check that. Yes. Okay, so let's go through that. Force construction scoring, the resource costs 10 points and begins on its red starting line. So if we take a look at this red starting line, it's going to have this 20 showing. And so that's the amount of points that you can actually use. So as you use weapons from the weapons dial, you're going to subtract from that value. So it starts out at 20 on the red line, and that costs 10 points. And then the blue line, oops, let's go this way. The blue line, get that focused. There we go. The blue line is, let's see, there we go. Blue line is 10 points. So with 20 points, with 10 points paid, you'll get 20 kind of clicks or points of weapons. And on the blue starting line, you're going to pay 5 points, and you're going to get 10 points of weapons. So what it says is that you basically, when you use the resource, you're going to choose 4 different weapon object tokens. Those are the yellow standard tokens. And then you'll also be able to pick 3 different 3D objects assigned, and you assign them to the Punisher van. So if I want to play this resource, I can basically pick 4 of these guys and 3 of the 3D objects. The 3D ones are actually more powerful, although these give you some cool effects too. But once you, let's say I wanted to do that, I will pick, you know, these, let's just say we picked this and the first aid kit, flamethrower, what is that? The flash bomb, frag grenade, and a semi-automatic. So I will assign those, and then I will also take the rocket launcher. I'll take the flamethrower, the BFG, and we'll go ahead and also take the riot shield. So I will take those and assign that. That just costs 10 points as a resource. And then here's the rolling armory effect. So once you've kind of determined which weapons you're going to use, this is how you use those weapons. Give Punisher van a power action and choose a weapon object assigned to Punisher van of equal or less points than the weapons dial indicates. So when it's starting out at 20, I can pretty much pick any of these. And as an example, first aid kit, let's see, we'll have to look at the cards for the points. But like, as an example, first aid kit is only 3 points. Let me shoot that up a little bit closer. There we go. So yeah, first aid kit is 3 points. Smoke bomb is 1 point. Flash bomb is 3 points. We'll go through some of these in a little bit. So they're not that many points for the small non-3D objects. If you go through the 3D objects here, the rocket launcher is probably one of the most expensive, and it's 7 points. You've also got, BFG is 7 points, and the flamethrower. So obviously the ones that do the most damage are going to cost the most money. Sorry, not money, but points. And so what happens is that each time you use a weapon, you're going to subtract from that 20. So, you know, if I used the rocket launcher, I'd have to click it down to, you know, 13. Right? And then the next time I use a weapon, it always has to be under this number, and then you have to subtract it. So it's kind of like you're paying to use those weapons from the armory. All right, so let's take a look at the rest of this power. Turn the weapons dial a number of clicks equal to the weapon's cost, then place the weapon adjacent. So for example, you know, this is my van. I'm going to give it a power action to activate the rolling armory. And let's say I want to drop this rocket launcher. So I'm going to drop the rocket launcher adjacent as a power action, and then subtract 7 from my resource dial. And then when I do, the Punisher van has a, if the pilot is named Punisher after actions resolve, you may place him adjacent. So let's just say Punisher van was piloting, right? I would be able to place him adjacent. This is all for free. I mean, it's all part of that one action, right? And it says the action doesn't deal pushing damage. So assuming this, because it doesn't have willpower, if it had 2 actions, you could do that and then drop him and not have to, you know, kind of take the unavoidable damage because it doesn't have willpower. So that's pretty cool. And then it says the weapons dial may not be used when it crosses the red line. So that just means once it's used up, you can't use it anymore. But it's pretty cool. So like for a power action on the van, I can drop a rocket launcher, drop Punisher. He has no action tokens. He can do something. And I'll explain this in a second. Any of these objects, if Punisher van, I mean, I guess technically he would be on top of this object, right? Because you can't pick up the object if you're just adjacent to it. So sorry for the disorganization. I'm trying to be a little organized. Okay, so let me explain how he picks up the object. We'll actually look at this rocket launcher. So all of these objects are special objects. They are all considered light objects, and there are certain rules here. So it's not like other special objects like the PIM particles or the symbiote where you can just throw it on any team. These are called Punisher weapons. So let me go ahead and zoom in here. Punisher weapon. So here we go. It says it can only be added to your starting force if the Punisher van or a character named Punisher is included in your force. So that means that if you're not playing the Punisher van or you're not playing Punisher, you cannot use any of these objects, which, you know, is cool. They're thematic. You know, you wouldn't want to be throwing a rocket launcher on a Felix Faust or, you know, some other character. So it makes sense, and it kind of limits it to being, you know, not extremely meta, right? And then just another note here, it says opposing characters can only KO this object by using it in an object attack. So any of these objects, I'm pretty sure, yeah, all of these objects have that rule, yes. So basically that means you can't shoot these objects and destroy them. You can only destroy them if you pick them up with super strength and then like use them in an attack, okay? The other point that we need to make about these objects is that they all have this ability here. Let me see, sorry. We'll zoom back into that. Give a friendly character in this square or holding this object a power action to equip it. If that character is named Punisher, this is a free action. So if you had super strength and you played some of these relics, you know, or sorry, special objects, you could pick them up and equip them to that person, you know, if you were playing them with Punisher on that team. So let's just say I had Red Hulk and Red Hulk was being played with Punisher on my team or the Punisher van, then he could pick these up, hold the object and then equip it, you know. So if you're not the Punisher, you always have to do a power action to equip it. If you are the Punisher, then it's a free action. So obviously it makes a lot more sense to play the Punisher. So if I use the armory and drop the rocket launcher, pay the cost, drop him on top of it, then free action pick up the rocket launcher, he's ready to go. Now Punisher can actually make an action and attack with whatever weapon he gets equipped with. So that's pretty cool. One thing else to notice about these different weapons is that a lot of them have this new mechanic called single use. I actually haven't seen that before, and single use sounds pretty obvious. When the equipped character activates a game effect granted by this equipment after action is resolved, KO the equipped items. Now if you're using the weapons dial, you don't have to, you can reassign the item after it's KO'd because the weapons dial gives you that ability. But if you aren't using the weapons dial on the van, then it does get KO'd. I think that pretty much outlines how this stuff works. You know, if you're not playing the rolling armory and you just, let's say, bring Punisher, then you could of course pay the point cost, right? To include any number of these weapons. I guess actually not. Let me correct that. It's not any number because you can only include 2 heavy and 2 light, right? So in, sorry, 1 heavy and 2 light, or 2 heavy and 1 light. So since these are all considered lights, the most you can include on your force without the rolling armory is 2. So you could pick the the rocket launcher and the flamethrower to play with him if you were just playing Punisher without the Punisher van. So it's a little limiting. It's not as cool as being able to be able to pick whatever weapons you want. So that's why you want to play the rolling armory, is that if you really want it to be more thematic and you want to be able to pick between these, you play the rolling armory and then you can kind of pick up to 7 total objects, 4 of these token ones and then 3 of the 3D objects. So all right, so I think that pretty much covers how the van works. We'll look at the Punisher's dial in a second. I'm gonna go through these, I guess. Yeah, let's just go through them really quick, we might as well. I know this is gonna be a long video, but you guys can, it's pretty cool to just be able to learn a little bit more about this myself. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 3D objects first. We've got the flamethrower. And the flamethrower says it can be given a ranged action to make a ranged attack with locked value of 4 range and 3 damage and 3 lightning bolts. Targeted characters must each be adjacent to another targeted character. So if you have a line of characters, that's when you want to use the flamethrower, right? When it does, after actions resolve, you may attach a fire marker to each hit target. Oh, I forgot to bring the fire markers and show you guys those, but they're very similar to the ones in Joker's Wild that El Diablo uses. And they're the little clicks effects tokens. So the fire markers remain even if the power is lost, and at the beginning of a character's turn that has a fire marker, deal that character damage equal to the number of action tokens on them. So if you hit somebody with the flamethrower, they're gonna take 3 damage, and you can target multiple characters, but the targeted characters all have to be adjacent to each other. And then afterwards, you can throw a fire marker on all 3 of those guys, and depending on how many tokens, like if they all have 2 tokens, they're gonna take 2 damage at the beginning of their turn. So that's pretty crazy. And then of course, this is single use. We're gonna take a quick look at this. I'm actually just gonna show you guys real up close how awesome these little sculpts are. That's the flamethrower. Here is the Gatling gun. This is the rocket launcher. This is my favorite. I like how it's like a different sort of metallic color. Here's the riot shield. BFG. And we all know what that stands for. It's pretty big. That thing's better do some damage. Surveillance, what is it? Surveillance device. Okay, and I don't think I need to show you all the other tokens. They're pretty cool, pretty standard HeroClix tokens. Let's look at, we did flamethrower. Let's do rocket launcher. Like I said, this one's my favorite. It's probably the most powerful. Can be given a range action to make a range attack targeting a single opposing character with locked values of 8 range. So give Punisher 8 range, 4 damage. When it does, after actions resolve, deal 3 damage to each character adjacent to the hit target. So it's kind of like an energy explosion. I mean, it is like an energy explosion. So again, that's single use. Gatling gun can be given a range action to make a range attack with a locked value of 8 range and 3 damage to target a single opposing character. After the attack resolves, you may immediately make another range attack targeting another character within range and line of fire that is adjacent to the last targeted but was not already targeted. So again, this is, you gotta have people adjacent to do the additional attack. It's thematic for a Gatling gun, you're just rolling and firing off shots. So that's pretty cool, and what it does say is you may repeat this any number of times. So if you have 4 characters, let's say you have the toy soldiers all lined up there, you could keep attacking them with the 3 damage and then once all those guys have been attacked, then this thing goes away. So that's pretty cool. Surveillance device. This one's pretty cool. It's not a single use, so once you equip it, the character and adjacent friendly characters can use ignore elevated and ignore hindering when attacking opposing characters within 6 squares. So that's pretty cool. It gives you the improved targeting, which there's very little of that these days, so it can be very effective. That's 4 points. Oh, by the way, the other one was Gatling gun was 4, and then rocket launcher was 7, flamethrower was 5. Riot shield can use energy shield, deflection, and toughness. And if the equipped character is dealt 3 or more damage, then you KO it. So that's pretty cool. If you already have, if you're gonna have toughness, you gotta deal 4 damage to knock this thing off. So, and that's 4 points. Here's the BFG. Can be given a range action to make a range attack with locked range value of 8, 3 damage to target a single opposing character, and this does penetrating damage. So it's basically a 3 penetrating weapon for 7 points. So those are the 3D objects. Now let's go real quick through the non-3D objects. First one is going to be first aid kit. And you can imagine what this does. Can use regen or support. Pretty cool for 3 points, single use. And we've got smoke bomb. Can use smoke cloud. When it does, smoke markers remain until your next turn, even if this effect is lost. So that's cool. Helps with the stealth. Punisher usually, well, actually only I guess 1 or 2 of the other Punishers have stealth. Flash bomb can use in-cap with a locked range value of 5, targeting a single opposing character. When it doesn't hit, give each character adjacent to the target an action token. So it's kind of like an energy explosion in-cap. Pretty cool, very good for locking people down. Handgun can be given a range action to make a range attack with locked values of 6 range, 2 damage, targets a single opposing character. Not too great. I don't see how that would be useful, because usually you're at least doing 2 or 3 damage, with a regular, Punisher. So I'm not sure why that would be useful. Semi-automatic can be given a range action to make a ranged combat attack with a locked value of 6 range, 3 damage, and 2 lightning bolts. Targeted characters must be adjacent to another targeted character. So it's kind of like the Gatling gun or the flamethrower in that, well, I guess it's just like you got the 2 targets, but they have to be, it's actually limiting you. You can't just shoot 2 people at different parts of the map. You can only shoot 2 people if they're next to each other. So not that great. Sniper rifle can be given a range action to make a range attack with locked value of 10 range, 2 damage using precision strike. So precision strike will help that damage stick. Pretty good for 10 range. We've got a frag grenade, can use energy explosion with a locked value of 5 range and 2 damage to target a single opposing character. Untargeted characters are dealt a maximum of 1 damage from this effect. So yeah, basically, if you hit somebody standing next to a couple other people, it's going to do 1 damage to everybody that was untargeted. So it's got a fixed kind of lightning bolt of 1. Molotov cocktail. This is another fire marker one. Can use energy explosion with a locked value of 5 range, 2 damage to target a single opposing character. Untargeted characters are dealt a maximum of 1 damage from this effect. So it's also energy explosion, and then after actions resolve, you attach a fire marker to the hit target, removing it from anywhere else. The fire marker remains even if this power is lost. So if once the Molotov cocktail goes away, the fire marker still stays. And even if Punisher goes away or the van goes away, the fire marker still stays. You deal the character damage equal to the number of action tokens on them, or remove the fire marker if they have no action tokens. So another one of those fire clicks effects uses. So this is pretty cool. I'd say the 3D objects are better. The first aid kit's pretty cool. Being able to give regen or support is always a good thing. I would say the rocket launcher is probably the best. Flamethrower and BFG are probably second, just because doing penetrating damage is nice. All right, let's take a look at, this is the Punisher that comes with the Punisher van. He comes in at 60 points. Starts out with sidestep, willpower, 11 attack, 17 defense, 2 damage, and range combat expert. So it's not bad. He's the nice thing about this Punisher is he's got 6 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, 6 clicks. So 6 will kill him. He starts out with sidestep, drops down into a 10 attack, keeps most of the same stats, and then gets stealth and blade. So he kind of goes into a close combat attacker mode with toughness, and then I think, yeah, he stays with the range combat expert for a little bit, and then he reverts into a close combat expert dial, still with stealth and combat reflexes. He's got a 6 range, which is pretty standard average range for a shooter. Pretty cool sculpt. He looks like the 90s version, late 80s version of the Punisher. So I like that. And this is the one that's the cheapest. Oh, he does have improved targeting. So he can target out of adjacency. So he can shoot, yeah. So he can shoot anybody regardless if he's based. So that's pretty cool. So that's the one that comes with it, and for 60 points, that's the one that you would probably want to pilot this with. I was going to show you some of the other Punishers. One thing to think about is what you would be doing is, you know, piloting the Punisher van as an action, and then you would use a free action to pick some of the power. So I would probably pick, you know, sidestep. So you can pick, oh, sorry, he can only pick a standard attack or damage power. So yeah, I'd probably pick range combat expert, you know, with the Punisher van, because once the Punisher van's out there, it's going to be able to see more than just because it has more squares to draw lines of fire from. And then you can, of course, use the attack and damage stats. So let's take a look at this Punisher. This is the Civil War OP set Punisher. This guy was awesome in the Civil War OP kit, and his sculpt is just amazing. Like, I love that, you know, he just looks like he's firing off those Uzis. And he has very similar stats. He's actually 80 points, so 20 points more. He starts off with 2 targets, or 2 bolts instead of the 1 bolt. Still sidestep, willpower, and this guy starts off with 3 damage, so that's pretty cool, but doesn't have the range combat expert. Drops down to 10 attacks. Also has the willpower, and then he drops down into running shot, so that's pretty cool. When you pop him out, you'll be able to running shot, which is a little better than the other one, which doesn't have any running shot. You know, this also has energy explosion. So I'd say this guy's really good for that extra 20 points. He also drops down into the blades with stealth and outwit, so that's pretty sick. I like that. I remember playing him in the Civil War OP kit, Civil War OP event, and he was definitely an MVP. He also has this awesome trait and a amazing special attack power. The trait says at the beginning of the game place 3 ammo tokens. Let me zoom in there. And then when he KOs an opposing character, you get to add another ammo token. So he starts out with 3, and anytime he KOs somebody, he gets another one. When he targets one or more characters with a range attack, he can remove 1 or more ammo tokens. If you do, when making the attack roll, it can't be re-rolled, and you roll an extra d6 for each removed token. So then choose 2 dice for the attack roll. So that's pretty dope. I love being able to add more dice to my dice pool to roll. So if you spend an you spend an ammo token, you get to add a dice to your attack roll, but you can't re-roll it. Like, that means you just can't prob it. And then you choose the other 2 dice that are the highest. His Deadly Barrage special attack power is the one that I used the most. I think it's actually the best one. Better than the unrollable additional dice. It gives you another attack. It says give Punisher a power action and remove an ammo token to make a range attack. Then make another range attack. The first attack doesn't activate the damage depletion modifier. So that's cool. You know, you get to make 2 attacks. So it's kind of like a prob, except, I mean, it's like a flurry. You know, it's going to allow you to make 2 ranged attacks. And then it doesn't activate the damage depletion modifier, just like Flurry. So this guy's awesome. I would definitely, if you're playing a casual game or even maybe a little slightly competitive, oops, sorry, I would play that Punisher over this one. This one has more clicks though. This one only, the Civil War one actually only has 5. No, it also has 6. So the same amount of clicks. We're actually going to show you this guy. This is the 2015 LE Punisher. He's only 45 points. Starts out with a measly 9 attack, but has stealth and a willpower, 6 range. And this one drops down into some running shot and then stealth with combat reflexes, only has 5 clicks. So he's not that great, but he's got the weapons cache. So one of the things you could do is play the Punisher van with a bunch of different Punishers, because that means they can all pick up, you know, the objects for free, right? They don't have to pay the power action to do so. So this Punisher has also has weapons cache, so you could set that up too. It says at the beginning of the game, place up to 5 weapons cache markers in clear squares at least 5 squares from each other in any starting area. Weapons cache markers are considered hindering terrain. Give Punisher a free action when he occupies a square with a weapons cache marker and place it on this card. So these would only apply to him because they're his weapons caches. It's not a character named Punisher, it's the Punisher, which is referring to this Punisher. So if you did weapons caches, you couldn't share it with your other Punishers, but he could, though, benefit from the Punisher van's rolling armory. So that's pretty cool, and he can pilot the van and all that. Personal arsenal: when making a ranged combat attack, Punisher increases his attack damage, range values, and the number of lightning bolts by 1 for each weapons cache marker on this card. When Punisher hits with a ranged combat attack, after action is resolved, remove a weapons cache marker from this card. So as he builds up weapons caches, his stats increase. So he's pretty cool. I like him, and especially for 45 points. He's a real bargain. Now this last Punisher, and so I'm showing you guys all the modern Punishers that you could, you know, play in this scenario. This is the Stealth Suit Punisher from the Civil War prize. And unfortunately, this guy I think is just done terrible. Really cool stealth suit, and he actually in the comic book was one of the coolest parts of the comic, but they just kind of fell short in making him an awesome piece. He does have improved movement, elevated and hindering, and he's got a trait that allows him to use stealth, which means, and also non-adjacent opposing characters can't use improved targeting ability to target Punisher. So even if he's in stealth and you ignore hindering, you still won't be able to see him, which is, you know, not bad. And he has a special damage power that says Punisher can use Outwit. If Punisher occupies an opponent's starting area when he uses Outwit, he gets to target an opposing character regardless of range or line of fire. So, you know, he's a fun, casual guy to play. Definitely very themey, but, you know, and for 60 points, you get, what is it, 5 clicks here? Yep, 5 clicks. I just feel like he should have done a little bit more. Like, he only has 2 damage. He's really not doing a lot of damage. He's really just there, I think, to, you know, maybe tie people up because you can't target him, and then do a little bit of close combat attacking. He does have in cap, so he's kind of there exactly to tie people up. Anyway, he's not, I don't think, that great of an option for this because you want to have a higher attack with the Punisher van. And but so I would say my favorite one is actually either the Civil War OP kit 80-point Punisher. He also has a Spider-Man team ability, which makes him a wild card, which is pretty cool. And then, or the one that comes with the Punisher van, which is only 60 points. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, if you've played this and how, you know, what you thought worked really well. I've heard of, I think the guys over at HeroClix talked about maybe playing this for a WizKids Open, so I'd love to see it in action and see how you could maybe, you know, make it more meta. I definitely think just having the Punisher van that's so difficult and to kill can be competitive, and just being able to drop him out when the time's right. So, you know, essentially, you know, you can move up, and then next turn you can drop him out for free at any time. So during that time he's totally protected, right? Whatever Punisher is piloting, he's not going to be taking damage. And so anytime you're ready, you give it a power action and you drop him out any square adjacent, and then you get to make an attack. So pretty cool. And if you have some other ways to beef up his stats, I'd say that would be the way to go. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I hope this wasn't too long or boring, but thought it might be cool to look at the Punisher van. I like resources, and this is one of the last modern resources I think we're going to have. Seems like WizKids is kind of tapering off on resources, and it's also obvious because this resource doesn't get to be used by anybody else but the Punisher. So it'll be fun for you guys to try to come up with some cool, awesome teams with this Punisher. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we will be back up with some more videos soon.